So the big day has come. It's time to sow my runner beans, and the weather for the next 5-6 days is sunny and warm, and that will take us into June, which is the time of year I normally plant my beans. So I'm getting a bit of a gain really on a few days. So I'm going to put these beans in. Now when I put beans in, I like to water the bed, which I've just done, and just weed it, and I'll find more weeds as I go planting along, but the bulk of them are out. There weren't that many. And I've planted my beans, or sown my beans, into these root trainers, which is my preferred method, and they're looking really healthy now. And if we open one of these clamshell root trainers, it's a beautiful root ball that's ready to go in the ground. Now I'm going to plant these beans just on the inside of each of the canes. In my opinion, that just gives a little bit more protection when it comes to those windy days which we're bound to have, and then they'll soon start growing up and around. Now these beans have just got to the point where the tendrils at the end, the growing tip, is just starting to wind round the other beans, and that's a sure sign for me of when I need to get them planted out. So with no further ado, we'll start that process. Just get a nice deep hole which takes the full length of the root trainer. They come out really simply, and we just pop them down, and I like to just lean them in slightly to the cane, and that gives them a really close position against the cane to start winding round. And there we go, that's one in, and they really are that simple. Just do one more here. Nice deep hole, about the length of the root ball. Drop it in, orient it towards the cane, and give it a firm in. And there we go. And I'll work my way through this bed now. I think I've got more than enough plants, and yeah, we'll see how we get on. There we are, that's all the runner beans in. Varieties are, which give that lovely white bean, and I had a ridiculous amount of plants, as you can see. But what it did enable me to do is to pick the very best, the best rooted and the tallest. And they're all healthy plants. It enables you to just wrap them around the canes one at a time where possible, and that enables them to have a good start. Now runner beans always wrap around a cane a particular way. I can never remember which way it is, but I'm sure they'll find their way and they'll get going in no time in this warm weather. So I've given them a good watering in, because there's a bit of a shock to the plant when you plant it, and I'll water them every day until they get really vigorous, and we'll go from there. So that's all the Bellottis, the Cannellinis and the Gigantes all in their bed. So just the 4 Gigantes, we'll see how they go. And that's 8 Bellotti climbers, 2, 4, 5, 10 Cannellini, which should be about 3 to 4 feet high, I think. And then the dwarf Bellottis, which seem uncannily like the climber, but we'll see whether they top out a bit earlier, and I may have to control those by just pinching the tops out. So we'll give these a good watering in now, and all the beans on the plot are good to go. Well, there's a lot going on down at the allotment today. Today is pepper time. Yep, peppers are coming over from the house and we're potting up. Got quite a lot of reorganising to do to make the space for them, but we'll get them in. A few things to go out, and then moving most of the balance into the cold frame where possible, and that will free up the bench to put the peppers. In the meantime, I've been filling pots. So these are the pots. The peppers go in these sort of medium-sized pots. I've prepared some smaller pots for the kale, which really is needing potting up, as is the few extra swede that I've been growing. And I'll keep those on the boil so that when space becomes available, I can pop those swedes in. The kale has its own bed, but they're not quite ready to go out yet. So that is the bench needing to be rearranged. It's about time I gave you an update on the great pumpkin and squash race. And boy, is there news this morning. Just look at that. So the Tamara slicing cucumbers came up first. That's 2018 seed, and they're looking really well. And these pumpkins and squash have come up of their own accord without the propagator. It just goes to show, sow them a bit later in the polytunnel is probably the right thing to do. Now there were a few that came up first. The Oakland Blue came up, the Queensland Blue came up early, and also the banana pumpkin, which jumbo pink banana, this fella here. But generally they all come up a fairly similar time. Now what's interesting, seed age 2018, all this row, 2018, all that row. This Golden Hubbard is 2015, as is this Pot Marion. And that goes to show that some aged seeds will grow. This one's also come up, Black Futsu, again 2015. But anything 2014, 2013, not germinated as of yet anyway. But if these get on well, I'm clearly going to have plenty of pumpkins and squash. So we'll just see how we go. So here are the peppers. This is the first time they've been out in the wild since November when they were sown. And as you can see, some of them have fruited and the peppers are coming on well, and they're all looking a bit pale, and it's a sure indicator that it's time to pot them up and bring them out now that temperatures have stabilized a bit. So we've got a couple of these Samoa Summer Row early sweet peppers. These are not labelled, and I'm thinking that they are the chocolate pepper, but we'll wait and see. This is my staple, which is King of the North sweet pepper, and they're looking well. And this is the Dedo de Mocha sweet argy pepper. There's 3 of those, and they've not flowered yet, so they're obviously a much later flowering pepper. And then we've got Californian Wonder sweet pepper, which is fruited on one of the plants and turning red. And we've got the Kakulka paprika sweet pepper, and we've got 3 of those, and they seem to be in various states of ripeness, but again looking like they need to be potted up. So that's one of the jobs this morning, to get those into their pots and get them into the polytunnel. And to do that, I'm just going to need to organise myself and make some space. Well, there's a few peppers that fell off as I did the potting, but that's okay. We can make good use of those in the kitchen. and they're now into their final spot. So we've got all the hot weather crops on the bench. The basil, various peppers, some more basil there. And as I get the basil from the propagator, the various varieties that I've tried to grow, I'll pop those into the gaps. And then that keeps all the warm weather crops all together. And that's quite warm when it's a bit higher up like that. So now it's a case of getting the courgettes in and potting on those kale and Swedes, which shouldn't take me too long. There we are then, that's the Russian kale potted up. They should come along really quickly now. And the Toscana Cavallero style kale also potted up, and again should come on fairly quickly. And I've had to put the great pumpkin and squash race tray down here as space is now at a premium again, but we're on final layout number 222. Just joking, but clearly we're not far off from keeping everything where it's going to be for the rest of the season. My last plantings for today are going to be these 3 Romanesco in that little bit of space there. I've got 1 golden acre cabbage which I'm going to put in to replace that one, which I think might have some root damage, certainly not looking well. We've got another little space over here which I'm also going to put a Romanesco in, and over here some 120-day heading broccoli to make up the rest of the parsnip bed, and we've got some marigolds to go in amongst the runner beans. And then over on the far side here, 6 courgettes waiting to go into their final place, and we've got these squash and pumpkins. So we've got 2 small sugars, 4 small sugars, a luxury, and this, which is a plant given to me by a neighbour and is a butternut squash, so we'll get that one in. And I've not got a lot of hope for those small sugars, but they may just come on. And of course I've got all those backups, hopefully that will grow fast enough to be able to get in for the season. And then lastly, we've got the 1 Munchkin pumpkin, which I think I'm going to put on top of one of the water tanks so it doesn't get any slug damage. So plenty to do for the next hour or so. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.